I wanted to see first if there's any like feedback, like questions, answers about anything language learning or language teaching wise, Ned, like anything.
Yeah.
Not that I know everything,
Be
obviously.
careful what you ask for.
That's
I
true.
mean,
Well, that's true too.
I only ask questions, you know what I mean? It's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Of
don't go from A to B without asking questions. But no, even the questions thing, I had questions about that. I was like, are you saying that like the questions part of your OPI, kind of the five-part things,
right.
is that what you were going to go through? Is that you need to have 20 questions prepared or whatever to start learning a language?
The way I put that is just because you can answer 20 questions in Russian doesn't mean that you know Russian. But if you can't answer those 20 questions in Russian, then you definitely can't speak Russian.
If you can't ask them.
Ask and answer, I guess, two sides of the
Mm.
same coin. I would say that the gold standard is being able to answer because, like Thomas was just saying, asking is easier than answering.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
Like you can walk up to someone and say, "Hey, let me ask you 5 questions." All right, sure thing, like whatever. But if you can answer, because there you got to think on your feet, right? The question's coming at you. It's on a time. It's like I think of it like a Space Invaders game.
Hmm.
Like you're the little laser gun, and the aliens are coming in.
Hmm.
Tetris or something, right? There, it gets faster and faster, and you go shoot it down. Right. So here's
Definitely.
your OPI, Hugh. Someone's speaking Mandarin to you. They're going to ask you questions, get harder and harder and harder until you can't do it anymore. Like it's kind of a stressful
And so,
situation,
is that how you've practiced over the years and stuff? And with regard to Arabic, for example, when you were teaching people, yeah, I just wanted to know a bit more about that. I mean, you're saying CIA and like people that needed to learn it. It seems to be a big thing for people to get, yeah, to need to learn Arabic and then go to
Hmm.
places like, yeah.
Hmm. I'll say that real quick. I mean, I in 2005 to 2009, I was a linguist for the Air Force, right? So I learned Arabic. I was hoping to learn Mandarin, but I just got like boot camp, like into. They're like, you're learning Arabic, and your name is Osama, by the way, because they give you a name. No one had been named Osama. They had like kind of retired that jersey or whatever. This was in 2005, right? No one was named Osama, and they had this big ceremony where they give you like your new name for the year and a half that you'll be there, and it's all in calligraphy. Like you get your name and you stand up and like receive it from your like master, and like they're like you're like yeah we weren't gonna do this, but you're Osama, and I was just like I like that. That's cool. Feel that.
Bro, you're funny.
So during the DLI, the Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California, the teachers who are native speaking teachers, you have a teaching team. So like all day long, you sit still. I mean, you get breaks, but you sit still, and the teachers come to you, and it's a different teacher with a different plan, different listening, reading, whatever it is. And for some reason, the native speaking teachers from various countries and that speak Arabic, like they thought it was funny to be like, "Oh, you're Osama," like they're like Osama bin Laden. Like they like to say that for some reason. That was like, and I was like, "No, I'm not Osama bin Laden. My dad's name is Gary." Like, because Laden means bin is son of Laden. It's like Osama
Oh, yeah,
Laden.
okay.
So I was like, "No, I'm not Osama bin Laden. Like, my dad's name is Gary." And I learned to say this in Arabic. I'm like, "No, less to Osama bin Laden. Ism Abi huwa Gary. I am Ismi. My
Mhm.
name is
Mhm.
Ismi Osama bin Gary." And that name stuck. So I was Osama bin Gary the whole time. I got friends that still call me that today. Like, "Oh, what's up, Osama bin Gary?" Like on Facebook, how you been?
That's funny. That's hilarious.
So I got
And
done
you
with
probably
that.
must have, yeah. You must
Go
have
ahead.
had a lot of interesting characters as well, though, going through that kind of, yeah, phase.
The people were characters.
Yeah, they must have been, you know.
Oh, dude. Oh yeah, major
Uh,
characters, dude. Everyone's a little weird. Like, I mean, military people are like a little weird anyway. But then be part of the like linguist group, and you got like all types. Anyway, so I got
I
done with that in
mean,
2009, and then sorry, more number another thing here.
no, well, I mean, it was a GDPR question. I was like, right, did they tell you a lot of things you're just not allowed to discuss because it's military?
Yeah, I won't. publish this part, but I had a clearance. Like had that. I mean, it's public knowledge. To have that job, you have to get a clearance. And they spend like 150 grand on you, like per person. The government says 150,000 American dollars to get you your clearance. And so I got friends from high school being like, "Yo, like someone like showed up at my door and was just like asking me if it's true that you only smoked weed 5 times." And I was like, "You told them I only smoked 5 times, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "All right, good." Like that's the magic number.
Uh,
Yeah, I only smoke weed 5 times. But then they hit up friends of friends too. So like like people that I like don't even didn't know well were like getting hit up. And they're like,
bro,
"Oh,
I'm not surprised. You're mysterious looking. You're mysterious, you know.
yeah." They do it forever. So you have a clearance, and there was some stuff that you're like not supposed to know. It's not that interesting if you knew it. It's just technical stuff like, oh, we were at that coordinate and weren't supposed to be technically, or weird stupid stuff like that. But anyway, got done in 2009, and then I just found a job in Chicago that was willing to like let me teach. Like, so I hadn't taught before, but I knew I really wanted to, and so I started with that. And then pretty soon I had adult like night classes, and then this company, that school, like they were bidding on contracts, and so like they got like an FBI contract, and they're like, "Tony, you get to do," and I was like, "Beautiful, I could just do that." And so a lot of those things came through as like contracts, and there was FBI, there's not CIA, but there's FBI, Navy, Arm, NATO, da da da, like a few different places like that. So
Nice,
that's that
nice.
in a nutshell.
So would you have trained many people over the years
I've
or
trained
taught?
many people. Yeah,
And is it normally one-on-one?
I've done a lot of one-on-one. I've done a good amount of groups too, and honestly, a group live class is my favorite thing. I love to stand in front of like 25 people or more, like no limit amount of people, and do it live. That's what you know. But yeah, so it can be live groups, it can be live one-on-one, it could be on Zoom one-on-one, Zoom groups.
Are the guys here learning today? I mean, what kind of languages do they, Thomas, Ned?
Thomas and Ned.
Hmm?
What kind of languages are you learning?
I'm learning Norwegian for fun, and I'm learning Chinese and Arabic.
Oh, cool. What about you, Tom?
Right now, my interest is in Spanish and Portuguese. And
Nice.
years ago, it was a year and a half of Russian.
Oh,
That's
wow.
about it. And then I want to come back to Russian later on, but I gotta focus on, a couple of language.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Хорошо.
definitely. And are you in the States or?
I live in Texas.
So yeah, Spanish should be easy, bro.
I mean, there's a lot of Spanish speakers, and and then Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. I have like a lot of friends that are Brazilian, so I can talk to them if
Yeah.
I need to. So I'm not short of people to work to to speak with. So
Do you
it's
guys
just
do you have Tandem at all? I know there are a couple of apps that I've found where 24/7 you can click on and then there's a group party where you talk, and it's essentially what we have now.
I haven't
Like
tried
we,
Tandem.
we
I've done
speak
Hello. I like personally. I've been using the heck out of Hello Talk. Like I really
Hello
like.
Talk.
Yeah, I really
Nice.
like that app.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I might look at it as well. It seems the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm paying for it now. Like the translator is extremely good. Like so is Chat GPT and everything. But like, it's just with Wolof. I've been messing with this African language. Chat GPT doesn't like know it well. So it's but the trans. So anyway, this Hello Talks has been really good. And it's really active. I feel like people are like really there and like active.
And how, and then what about you, Tony? Have you looked at Japanese, for example, at all, or have you ever looked at that for?
A little bit. I've never really committed it to memory, but I've like used it as an example before to say like, oh, let me learn 10 questions in Japanese. I don't think I remember them right now or anything, but
And
taking a
what
look
we
at it.
did through Catalan the other day, you were saying, oh, someone can suggest Japanese and we might go through it. If you got someone to the step where, they learned a certain number of questions and they learned the basics, as much as we did in Catalan the last day, do you think you have to do that a couple more times with different verbs and stuff before you go into a different section, like before you talk about your car or you talk about adverbs and adjectives?
It's a good question. See, was that my echo or did someone say something?
No, it's nothing.
All right. Okay, that's a very good question. And let me put this out there. The way I use Hello Talkie is, like I said, I've been playing with this African. I got a dictionary around here somewhere. The Wolof language of Senegal, right? So I learned how to say like three things, which is like, how are you? How's the family? Like they always they have like five questions they always ask. And so I went on Hello Talkie and I thought knew a little more maybe, like I kind of was getting it, but some of the I still was like, what's going on here? It's not easy to crack the code of this language. It is now, but at first I was like, oh, it wasn't really. So first day, right? So I go on Hello Talkie here, and I match with people, and I'm like Nanga def beep beep, like send a message just right away. And like if
Oh,
they wave,
wow.
I'm just like Nanga def beep beep boom, and they're like, oh, hello Tony, like nice to meet you. You speak Wolof, and I'm like beep beep. I'm like Menga wach Wolof tutirek beep beep boom, like one of my catchphrases. I speak a little Wolof, like this the same three things that I'm going to say all the time. And then some people won't even speak Wolof with you, and then some people will speak too much Wolof, and it's like a 45-second message, and it sounds like it's the middle of the night. It's like crickets like around, and I can't. I'm just like, all right. And then I'll be like, all right, well, we can practice English too if you want or whatever. Like I'm like done, until the next day when I have something else. I don't know. The point is that I'll get like 15 people and say my same hello to 15 people.
Oh, wow.
So the idea, there's a mantra there. It's learn a little, use a lot.
Nice, nice.
If you learn a little and use a lot, then you find out if you need to learn how to talk about your car now,
Yeah, true.
you know? Otherwise, it's like trying to predict. I try to predict. I do predict. You can predict. But am I going to have never talked about my car in Wolof? Never been asked about it?
Mm.
I could ask someone about it. I could say, "Hey, like Thomas goes, "Hey, let me ask you a question. What kind of car do you drive?" Beep beep. What? Blah, blah, blah. Right? Like I could take the initiative to ask about the car. No one ever asked me about the car.
Yeah, it's strange as well. If you look up, I did today using the same chat GBT method where I
Yeah.
put down 10 verbs and I asked it the most frequent verbs in Arabic.
Nice.
And I put down arrived and I
Mhm.
forget there were another two that I didn't know yet, even though I've been learning Arabic for, a month now. I knew 7 out of 10 because three of the ones they suggested were like very obscure verbs, you know? And yeah,
You just gotta scold ChatGPT a little and be like, "Hey, I said, like
yeah,
that wasn't a common verb." Like, oh, my apologies. Yeah. But yeah, I hear you. Hugh, when it comes to and everyone, but when it comes to the high frequency verbs, I'll sometimes go out of my way to make a spreadsheet or a page on the notebook, and I'll go ahead and group verbs by kind of verb, right? So like arrive goes in the going category.
Oh, okay, cool.
So like the verb to go, some there's a verb for go in Ned. What's your native language again? It's like Serbian. What
Serbian.
Serbian. So I'm gonna
Ad,
put the go ahead, Hugh.
adhab, isn't it? Ned,
Edhab,
do you
right?
know
So
that as well?
edhab or the haba. Usually Arabic they say the haba. They give you the three-letter root. Whatever. Edhab. Perfect. Okay. So edhab goes on the top as the heading of that list. So help me out here, everyone. Go, arrive, enter, exit, return.
Altu, alu,
I go to the place. اذهب إلى المكان. I go to the place. اذهب إلى المكان. I arrive.
adhab, yeah.
أصل. I
Asal,
enter. أدخل. I
adhab,
leave. أخرج. I return. أرجع. I arrive at my house. أصل في بيتي. I enter
asal
my
fi
house.
beiti,
Repeat the process. Enter the house.
asal fi beiti. So
ممتاز.
asal is to arrive. Yeah, asal fi
Yeah.
beiti.
أصل. أصل is I arrive. Ned, you could write that little right, and you could say, okay, here's what we're gonna say. I go to the store, I get to the store, I arrive there, I go inside, I get what I need, I come back out, I go back home, I'm home now, boom, done. You know, so all of that is
Yeah.
taken care of in the
Mhm.
go version category. You know?
Nice.
Mhm.
So I like to make these categories to group verbs that way. Verbs of being, be.
Mhm.
Have. I put have in the be category. No, you know what? Keep have separate. I'll tell you why in a second. Be is for being. Where are you? And what's around
Yes,
you,
like state.
you know?
A
And also
living,
what's
maybe?
around you. So there's French is Ilia, Spanish, Thomas, I, un, Ned, you know Spanish, I. So being,
Mm.
either
Hmm.
where I am or what's around me.
Hmm.
Okay. Being, having, going, and doing. You can make those four categories. Verbs of being, verbs of having. So the verb have itself, plus losing, finding, searching for, all variations on having. Being, having, going, all variations on going, go,
And
arrive, come back.
so where will you fit, behind, in front of, right, left? Do you just put them around the verb whenever you're making an example sentence?
So prepositions can get its own, like if I'm going to go through and write like a full sort of map of a language, which I do, and we can do that together at some point to like show exactly what's good to do with that. Uh, prepositions gets its own category. So I need in, on, at, from, to, by way of, right? Under, on top of, and everything like that. Where does that, so what verbs fit well with prepositions? Well, anything to do with position and movement. So the verb categories of being and going like lend themselves, like they're the
Wow.
first things that lend themselves to using prepositions. And you can
Wow,
use
okay. See, I mean, I love learning languages and, I do it independently quite a lot.
Mhm,
But I'd say if I were to sit down at a desk and just write it out and um yeah, I think there is probably a better method than what I'm doing, which is passively learning and it's, comprehensible input.
mhm,
But yeah, you say comprehensible output is your kind of your key to language learning.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's self-evident that so the reason that comprehensible output, like you being able to make yourself understood, you being able to speak, like, the reason that that's obviously a thing is because when people say, you know how people say, "Oh, I understand more than I can speak."
Hmm.
Obviously, the people say that as if that's weird. Like, yeah, we have this weird. I can understand more than I can speak. Yeah, I can understand more English than I can speak. Right? You can come along and bust out like
Yeah.
freestyle rap or something. Like, oh, I love that. Couldn't do it myself. You know,
Yeah.
like you
It
always
happens.
understand
Yeah.
more than you
I
can
mean,
speak.
yeah, you're always taught that whenever you're reading like a very difficult novel, if you come across a word you don't understand, continue anyway and see if you can make
Mhm.
sense of that
Sure,
word.
sure, right. So what I'm saying is there's a ratio, like a number above and a number below between what you can say and what you can understand, and pretend what you can understand is on top. What you can understand is always going to be a higher number than than the one below, right? So there's no one. There's no like, oh, everything I could ever understand in English I could also say myself. No, right? So what is the ratio? Well, maybe it's 9 to 10. That would be a very, very good ratio, right? But if it's a language that I don't even like, that I'm learning, my ratio, say it's 1 to 10. For every one thing I can say, I could probably understand 10 things. Like, say that's your ratio. Okay.
Hmm.
So lock that number in 1 to 10. All right. That's the deal. If you can turn, if that's the rate that you're going at currently, well, then if you can double the bottom number, then at least in theory, the top number should double too. So like if I can now I can say two things, so I should understand 20 things. Maybe it's like, well, it's really more like 18 now, but just bear with, like just pretend. The point is that you drive the top number up by driving the bottom number up. The comprehensible input, like lovers, try to say that by driving your input skill, your output skill comes along naturally. I'm not saying that's not true, but what I'm saying is that between the small, like on one of those cog things, like a gears on a bike, like if you turn the little wheel, the big wheel turns.
Hmm.
Listening is the big wheel.
Hmm.
So they're saying, well, if you can get 6 months of comprehensible input under your belt, you're going to see that little wheel start to spin like real nice. And I'm like, yeah, why not spin the little wheel and get the big wheel? Like the more you can speak, the more you can understand because it's harder to speak.
And let me see. Oh, I suppose I've only learning Arabic since basically when we first spoke.
Hmm.
Do you think you could, increase a couple of things? I suppose I said yeah, أنا منه أنا في بيت أتكلم ثمانية لغات.
Nice.
yeah, أنا أرى اليوم أنا أرى
Tayyib.
yeah, Almira. I suppose there comes yeah. I know a little bit, but
Cool.
I suppose there are a couple of things that I haven't necessarily used that I kind of try to get off my chest. Like I basically know five verbs to be like adhabu, adhabu, and then andi. Um,
Sure.
I don't know what yani is, but it's used all the time.
It means like it's the word
Yeah,
for
okay. Okay, like Yani.
like
Okay,
yani.
and
Right.
then they say Yalla, Yalla
Let's
is like to
go. Let's
come.
go.
But what is the word to come? Or
The word Yallah is literally oh God.
oh, what about to come, the verb? What would you?
It's Ja'a.
Oh, Ja'a. Okay.
I
Yeah.
come Eji.
Actually, yeah. I suppose there are a lot of when you go to learn a language, there are just so many questions that come along with like I keep on seeing that Allah is part of every verb when I say, oh, what is to do, to see, to have, just like the ending sometimes, and also it's inconsistent. Like their dialects, but I've just forgotten about the dialects just for the moment because I don't want to complicate things and say, oh, there's no way I can do that. There's too many dialects. But yes, asultu, akultu, and then yashrab, and ashrab al alma, you know. But otherwise, I have difficulty with quite a lot of things they've given me, and I've looked at it and I've
Sure.
seen how do I pronounce,
Mhm.
how do I pronounce to. I've seen a lot of examples of words that I just haven't been able to say because when I've listened to them, it's like my first time listening to them. Every single time I suppose arrived would have been an example. You saw was sana,
All
is
good.
it?
Wasala is Asal.
Wasala,
Asal. Yeah. All right.
asalta,
So,
asalta.
yeah, I feel you. Like we could get into specifics of Arabic sometime, like maybe do a dedicated class on it or something like that.
Hmm.
But overall, if we're talking about your listening ability, imagine you can take that core sort of what you can do right now. Like, okay, I can say a couple things. Imagine you can ramp that up to 20, right? Like 20 statements. Forget questions right now. 20 statements that you can just predictably say. All right. Because you can say those 20 things, if you go and watch something that's in Arabic, like people are speaking modern standard, or somehow pull up a video, I don't know what, like pull up something where you can hear Arabic,
Hmm.
pretty soon a couple words are going to pop out you. Like, whoa, I understood that word. Like, that's
Hmm.
cool. And then you go back to your list and you're like, all right, I'm going to crank out 10 more. Now I'm at 30. Like, it's a week later, I'm at 30 for sure things I can say. You listen to that Arabic again and you're just like, words popping out. Dude, I understood
Yeah, yeah,
that
repetition
whole
definitely.
sentence. Your speaking drives your listening. They both drive you, they both move together like cogs. One can't move without the other. What I'm saying is that speaking is the small cog.
Hmm.
It's the thing that with less effort gives you the best result.
Yeah, actually, yeah, and but it is interesting because for a lot of it, I haven't had someone to pull me up and say, you're saying this wrong or you're saying it right, and yeah. So I mean, that's one of the
I
biggest
hear you.
thing.
I hear you. You need a good like teacher, like someone who can answer your questions. So I hear you.
Yeah. Hal, yeah. And hal is a question word, seems like yes or no. Hal, but yeah, I suppose what comes after hal for most things, just
Yeah.
anything hal.
Yes, no question, right? So do you study
Mhm.
Arabic? هل تدرس عربي?
هل تدرس عربي؟ Yeah, أنا أدرس عربي. Okay, yeah.
It's Arabic. ممتاز. All right, super good. Super good. Ned, you got anything? Thomas, you got anything on that?
Maybe you can use Asimov books as a source to train yourself to help you to because they are I don't know if you are familiar with them. They are bilingual and their translations are pretty accurate. Maybe you can use them as like those stories as a source for learning.
And they're called Arsenal books?
Asimov.
Arsenal, okay.
All right, cool. Ned, Thomas, Hugh, any other comments or questions?
Hmm.
If not, I'm gonna
So
go ahead.
yeah, I have a question for I don't know how to implement this method with Chinese. I'm struggling. I don't know how to do it with
How good's your
Chinese.
Chinese right now?
So it's basic Chinese, like A1 level.
Can you say some stuff you know in Chinese to me?
Yes. Like, what do you want me to say?
Just give me your routine. Give me like 你好，我叫
呃，大家好，我是塞尔维亚人，我会说中文，一点儿中文，英语、西班牙语，what else can I say?
Can you say
啊、
I go to work every day?
我就I'm not sure how to say. It. I mean,
Can you say
if I
I
want to say,
went?
I
工作意思？
go. Hmm?
工作
工作 is work, but there is another expression that means that you're just going
Shan
to work. I think
Shan
Shaban or some yeah,
All right.
something like this.
Can you say I went to China?
Um, so they don't have tenses. You just say, "Oh, 我去中国," and then you just say when, or you don't even have to mention it.
Can you say I've
I
been
mean,
to
there
China?
is 我去了中国. That's like I went to China.
I think it's what 出国.
我过
All right, cool. Ned, I didn't mean to, put you on the spot or anything. I just wanted to know like what kind of level you're at. So,
Mm.
you're I've said this many times even in these classes, there's two levels. It's pre-conversational and conversational. Creates a hill. Pre-conversational, you gotta push the ball up the hill. Conversational, you
Mm.
learn by conversing because you're conversational. So, Ned, would you say you're pre-conversational?
Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure.
If you had a Mandarin lesson and they said, okay, this lesson's going to be only in Mandarin, would you be into that?
No, it would be too hard.
Okay. So you're pre-conversational,
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I'm pre-conversational and everything. Uh, so the way to become conversational, Ned, is you gotta become conversational. It's like a self-evident thing. It's like what would it take for you to become conversational? That's like that. That's my rhetorical question for
More practice.
you. Yeah, no, right. So I need a list of questions that I need to be able to answer in Mandarin.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Zhongguo? 你去过中国吗?
Yeah, I've been to China. I lived in China before.
You know. So what's the next harder question? That's an easy one. All right. So what's the next harder question? I mean, I think you can step up the mountain by 1 foot. Question answer, question answer, question answer, question answer. If there's patterns that
Yes.
come from that, like that's beautiful. You extract the patterns from the conversation.
嗯，
你是我的朋友。
对，
你
不是，
也是我的朋友，你是我的
爱尔兰人，对对对，
Ireland。
我也说中文，对，我去过中国。
Mm. Hello, Zach. Are we hearing you tonight, or is this one of those listening only nights, Zach?
Yeah, if you can hear me.
Can hear you,
Yeah,
man. How you
yeah.
doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Very good. Very good.
非常
Hi.
好，
Jack, we
你
just talked.
好，
What have we talked about,
你
Zach?
说什么？
We're speaking Mandarin now, Zach. Zach, what languages are you interested in? I'm not sure if I heard that from you before.
Yeah, right now I'm studying Japanese primarily.
Cool. The last question, Zach, that Ned was just he's like, what should I do about my Mandarin? I'm somewhat conversational, but not like super conversational to have a complete lesson in the language. And I said, well, what like same thing I often always say. It's like what's that list of questions that you can ask and answer that's going to bring you up to the conversational level? Is that too like flippant of an answer, Ned, or is that where you got anything to add to that? Anything else on that?
I need to try and see, and then I'll have more questions. So right now,
Yeah.
So, so Tony,
Yeah.
so when you mean by pre-conversational, are you talking about at the very beginning level where we just only know a few questions and answers, and conversational is where we have like a high level, like a good number of questions and answers?
You just know it's not really a number, right? It's like and you don't have to be high level conversational. Once you become conversational, there are 4 degrees. I've got this all mapped out. There's 4 degrees of becoming conversational. Conversational is the fifth degree, and then there's 4 more. It's 9 in total. So it's a whole thing. We could but so just because once you become conversational, there are 4 levels still to go. So you're not perfect. It's just like if someone said, hey, can we speak some Spanish? Podemos hablar español, Tomás? And you're like, bueno, okay, vamos a hablar español. Okay, yeah, but it might be a little bit like wobbly, but you might be conversational. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. You won't know till you actually get to that level that you
Mm-hmm.
know what those levels on the bottom actually look like.
Mm-hmm. We can break it down. We can do a full class on what those levels look. In fact, that's a really good idea that we should do soon. But with setting all of that aside, Thomas, part of the like optical illusion or like the magic or something of what I'm trying to do here, like overall, like in my life, is change how people think of being conversational. So often we think that becoming conversational is like, oh, that's ooh. You can be conversational instantly in a language if you just narrow. You got to make the parameters more narrow, right? So I'm going to be conversational, Thomas, in Spanish, but with only 2 or 3 words. Okay. So this is my only Spanish that I know. I like coffee. I don't like coffee. Tea, milk, juice, beer. 7 words. All right. Me gusta. I should say el café. Me gusta el café. If you don't like coffee, someone says, "Oh, you like no me gusta el café. No te gusta el café. Me gusta el café. ¿Te gusta el café? Si te gusta. Me gusta el café. El té. Me gusta el té. ¿Te gusta el té? Me gusta el té. Me gusta la cerveza. ¿Te gusta la cerveza? Sí, me gusta la cerveza. You're conversational, but it's only 10 words.
Wait, so you can ask the same question just a little bit differently, and
Yes.
then you can have like a whole conversation from just that
Yes.
one question.
Yes. In fact, that's one of the major things that I do with people when I'm teaching them something from scratch is we might have talked about things we like and we don't like for about an hour now. And I'm just like, dude, I am dreaming in that now. Like I'm like, yes, me gusta la Coca-Cola. Sí, me gusta Pepsi. Okay. No, no me gusta Sprite. No, no te gusta Sprite. Te gusta Topo Chico. Oh yeah, me gusta Topo Chico. La cerveza, sí, Modelo, Corona. Right? You could ask 150,000 questions around the same verb starting point, and that will nail that verb. That'll plant that verb starting point deep into the mental soil.
Mhm.
And voila, you're conversational. ask me to talk about something with another verb starting point, poof, I don't know. I only have one verb starting point. I just talk about things I like and don't like, but I can talk about things I like and I don't like all day. Then give me another verb starting point. Oh, I want to do that. Yeah, I want to drink a Coca-Cola right now. Yeah, let's third verb. Vamos a tomar una cerveza en el bar. I've
You can
primed
Vamos.
use,
myself. Go ahead.
so you can use the same verb starting point for yes no questions, open-ended questions,
Hmm.
and then it keeps the practice of speaking a language a little bit easier
Exactly.
or working on as a conversation. Okay.
Exactly. It's like that concept of creative restrictions. I'm looking at a book that it's like if you want someone to do to write a poem, and you just okay, go write a poem, it's going to be crap probably. But like if you're like okay, it's got to be a haiku, you're only allowed to use those amount of syllables. All of a sudden, you get this bunch of creative. You get like, oh, that's a kind of cool little haiku they just wrote, right? So in some ways, it's like a creative restriction. It's like because of the restriction, you become more creative. I want you to play me a jazz solo on the piano, Thomas, like a real piano, but you're only allowed to use one note. So if I just said, oh, play your jazz, play a jazz. I've never played the piano before. You want me to improvise a solo? Oh, should I play there? You have too many options. But if we said no, it's only one note, so you got to go. Okay, I'm gonna go, tss, 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 and you got to go bop, beep 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 beep. All right, you same thing with the language practice, Thomas. I can be like, you got to be conversational in Spanish right now, but you're only allowed to use one verb starting point.
That makes it so much easier. I don't think about 16 questions. I can just think of.
Limit yourself. It's a creative limitation. All right. Any comments or questions here? Ned, Zach, Hugh,
Yeah.
Thomas?
What are you doing tomorrow? Yeah, in the
Uh,
class.
oh, I don't know, man. Like, I'll
Yeah.
figure it out. You know,
And then what about the attendance? Why is it like why was it at like 14 yesterday? Do you know?
I don't know. I did not put the link in Zoom until right before the class. Oh shoot, I forgot to put the Zoom link. Maybe that had to do with it. I didn't announce it in the morning, so I don't know. I don't know. Probably natural,
Nice.
just
I
stuff
mean, it's
like
on the calendar.
true, true, true,
Mm.
true. Just meant to be.
Question.
We were meant to have this talk.
And then yeah, so for tomorrow, I wonder if we could do it through like Japanese or something, the same with the Catalan kind of
Take a
same
language,
thing.
yeah. I'll do that. I'll do Japanese tomorrow, man. Good idea.
Yeah, I actually have my own charts going here from the last few days that
Lovely,
keep building
lovely,
off of with Japanese.
lovely.
And is your own charts or your own of Tony's method?
Yeah, just Tony's method. I mean, I think there's a bit of my own method getting mixed in there because I was doing it
That's great.
prior to learning
That's
so
great.
much in depth. And Japanese is just, it has its complexities to it. And so building it has been its own challenge.
We'll
Nice.
do that, Zach, and you should help out if
It's interesting to do with the characters versus just speaking as well, though. So I presume that you're just gonna write pronunciation.
that's all I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gather both. I gather the kanji and the romaji.
Well, the last little thing here I was going to have us do at some point was is drawing thought bubbles. Has anyone ever have we ever talked about this?
Hmm.
Drawing a thought bubble. This just plays into the verb starting point, Thomas. All right. So that little circle right there, y'all can see my screen, no problem, right? So that circle, that's a thought bubble. That's a thought that you have in your mind. And the nucleus of every thought is a verb starting point. So in Arabic, I've written edrus there. That's I study. If y'all want to say it with me, edrus means I
Edrus.
study.
Edrus.
Edrus. Okay.
Edrus.
Now, the verb starting point finds its expression in the same way that like lightning disperses, the same way like anything happens like in nature. Like it's going to find its way out into vocabulary. So English is inglesi. So if you pretend you study English and you'll say edrus
Edrus inglesi.
inglesi. Okay. If you
English.
study Spanish, can you say Edrus Espani?
Edrus Espani.
Thank you. If you study Russian, say Edrus Rusi.
Edrus Rusi.
And if you study Japanese, say Edrus Yabani.
Edrus
Yabani.
Yabani.
Okay. So Edrus Rusi, Edrus Inglesi, if I can't read that. Edrus Inglesi, Edrus Espani, Edrus Yabani. Take that same verb starting point, Edrus, and put it in the form of second person, Tedrus.
Edrus.
Thank you. Ask me,
Tedrus.
Tony, Tedrus Rusi?
Tedrus Rusi.
Edrus Rusi, Tony?
No, Edrus Rusi. Ask me, Tedrus Inglesi?
Tedrus
Edrus
Inglesi.
Inglesi.
Everyone can. No, Edrus Inglesi. Ask me, Tedrus Espani?
Tedrus
Espani.
Espani.
Tedrus Espani. Tedrus Yabani?
Tedrus
Yabani.
Yabani.
Zabani.
لا أدرس ياباني ولكن غدا tomorrow إن شاء الله سأدرس إسباني مع زاك. طيب؟
طيب إن شاء الله.
إن شاء الله.
Inshallah.
Just for good measure, I've added
Zain.
la edrus. Zin. I've added la edrus. I don't study. So guys, if you don't study Russian, say la edrus Rusi.
لا
لا أدرس
Edrus
Edrus.
English. La edrus Espani. La edrus Yabani.
لا أدرس ياباني أدرس إسباني.
So I was gonna have us all and do it later, but I was gonna have us all kind of go, oh, draw a thought bubble. Teach me something in Serbian. Teach me something in Mandarin. Like using the thought bubble works in every language. Obviously. You guys don't have anything else. That's it for now, but I'm happy to stick around if you have any comments or questions.
شكرا جزيلا.
Off one. Japanese tomorrow. Then it's slated.
So yeah, I
Oh,
just
I'll be
wanted
here.
to ask, like, is this yes or no question the way you introduce the words of opposite meaning? Because some students might want to just speak about the positive things or good sides of things. For example, if they say, some students just say I'm good every time. Maybe you just make a statement, you're bad, and then that's how they learn the opposite meaning.
What do you want them to say?
I want them to learn other adjectives or verbs.
Ask them if they're that adjective.
Yeah.
Are you happy today?
Yeah.
Are you sad today?
Yeah.
Right? Just ask them
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah. I just wanted to see how to do it. I thought that was the way.
Yeah, one of those core, mantras is questions the best. You want to teach me how to say happy in Serbian? So, Tony.
Srećan.
Srećan?
Yeah.
Ja, srećan.
Yeah, some srećan.
Sam srećan.
Yeah, it means
Sad?
I
No,
am. Yeah.
Nije sam sad.
Srećan.
Sam srećan.
Da.
And I'm learning.
Yeah.
All right, we'll put it all into action in a real good way tomorrow with Japanese. That's a really good idea.
And how long, when will that be? And what time?
Same as tonight.
Okay, cool.
Sorry.
So it seems like to me, as the teacher, maybe this is a little simple, but at some point, or the teacher's job is to sort of get the student to be creative and,
Yes.
and curious
Yes.
with their actual language journey.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's like that Zen saying, no teacher can teach anyone anything. They can only point them to the path.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. All right, excellent. Any other comments or questions here?
Arigato.
Would it help an hour earlier, Hugh? You want it an hour earlier?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
It's at 5 o'clock my time. It's an hour earlier tomorrow. I'll set it up.
Okay.
Arigato.
De nada.
Arigato.
Gracias.
Talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.